inch or so, up to a quarter of an inch or so in diameter, about pencil thickness. These anvil pruners, these are such where the blade dead ends into a stop. And these are better used for soft-wooded plants, annuals, perennials, cut flowers. Anything that's woody, you probably would rather use the bypass pruners. They'll do a better job of pruning. Where the anvil pruners, if you get something too hard, it actually crushes the stem before it cuts it. So, but these are great for soft-wooded plants.
And of course, once you have all these tools, you have to maintain them. How do you do that?
Well, the biggest part of maintaining any garden tool is to keep it clean. And you have to be kind of careful with when you clean your plants. Water might be a good initial way to clean plants or clean the tools. But as you can tell, most of these tools are some kind of a metal. And what you want to do is, after you clean them and sharpen them, you want to put a coating of oil or some kind of petroleum product on them to slow down the rust. Now for sharpening, we have the sharpening stone and we have a pocket knife here. I was once told that every good gardener must always have a knife on them. So it's always good to carry a pocket knife. In fact, we've got a great knife right here. This is a Japanese gardening knife. It does everything. It's even got a little bit of a cupped surface, so it can act as a trowel. It'll cut sod. You probably could use it in the kitchen if you had a good clean tool. But use the sharpening stone. You can use the honing oil, put a drop or two of honing oil on the sharpening stone, and just carry the blade across very, very lightly. You want to get a good sharp or a good even sharp blade. Now most blades, whether they're pruners or knives, will have a beveled edge. You want to make sure that you do most of the sharpening on the beveled edge. After you get the beveled edge nice and sharp, then you go on the unbeveled side and just one quick drag across to get off any of the burrs from the sharpening, and you'll be in good shape.
That's all you want to do.
I think oil is one of the greatest things because being outside, things tend to get lots of really wet and rusty, and so always coating your blade with oil is a great way to keep it for a long time.
Well, keep that moisture off of your clean blade and keep down the rust that way.
And how often would you recommend then the sharpening and the oiling?
It really varies depending on how often you use your tools. If you're using a knife or pruners on a regular basis, and especially if they're coming in contact with the soil, soil is one of the quickest items that will dull a blade because it's so coarse. So if you're using tools in soil, you probably want to sharpen them after every use. And if you're doing a lot of pruning, you want to sharpen your pruners, I'd say probably once or twice a month, or if you're during the pruning season, probably every time you go out and prune, you want to come back in, clean the blade, and sharpen it so it's ready to go next time. And that's another good thing. Do it right after you're finished gardening, so then when it's time to go out again, you can jump right out there. You don't have to, oh, I got all these dirty tools, what am I going to do now?
So you don't do it like me where you just put them in the closet and wait a couple weeks and then go ahead and do it?
Some people wait 3-4 years, so you want to try to keep ahead of it.
We just have about 20 seconds left, but tell us, you've got all different kinds of oils. Which do you use?
Now this WD-40 is a really great thing because you can take this out in the field with you, and you can easily, and one of the things, not only does it lubricate, but it'll clean. You can just quickly spray on there, use the steel wool, and just rub along there, and it cuts off, it'll remove all the plant debris, any buildup that you get from plant sap and things like that. And then if you've got we've got a file here. I don't know where our hand file is, but you can easily keep the hand file in your pocket. You can easily file the blade nice and sharp, in keeping either the 3-in-1 oil or WD-40, something like that out there with you will keep you pruning very quickly and easily.
Well, Paul Pfeiffer, thanks for being with us, and we've got some great tips now for not only which tools to buy, but how to maintain them as well. We'll be back with more useful information in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
Well, you know, Kent, that maintenance of tools is so important, and it's the thing I'm terrible about.
Yes. So many people are, Maureen, and then they wonder why when they go to prune something it had that jagged edge on it or whatever.
Or why it does, why you can't even cut off. You can't even
just kind of bending over and sticking in the middle.
But actually I've solved that problem. Yes. Because I have the same problem with my kitchen knives. You know, my in-laws come once a year to visit. They live out of state, and you know, my father-in-law doesn't understand how I could even cut a slice of cheese with my, or butter with my knife. So I gather these things up, and that's his job when he comes. He sharpens everything for me.
Yes, what a great idea.
And I get him at least sharpened once a year.
I was struck actually while they were talking how much this is like the carpenter. You know, the carpenter can't build whatever he or she needs to build without proper tools. And gardening is really no different. You really have to have the proper tools. And you know, I always say about tools, and my wife will tell you this, I always say it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I buy things that I've never used and
So
they're hanging there in the wall.
these tools.
Oh, I've got them, yes. And same thing with gardening though. But when you need that tool, it's good to have it around. So we hope we gave you a lot of good information about that. And remember, we have great information tucked right in here in the brand new book just produced thanks to our friends at the Cleveland Botanical Garden. It's the Gardener's Guide to Northeastern Ohio. It's made up of articles and questions and answers and tips that have been part of the newsletters that have been sent to members of Cleveland Botanical Garden for the past 20 years that never existed before. So this is really fabulous. It's loose leaf, so you can go through it really easily. If you want to leave a page open because you're about to go out into the garden or out to your cutting table to work on something, you can do that easily, and it will come your way as our way of saying thank you for your $60 pledge of support. Now at the $90 level, we have your choice of a couple of items. First of all, we have the home video of the very program you're watching today. All of the professional gardening segments will be on this home videotape. It will run a long time, hours of video will be on here for you, and you'll be able to find the segments that you want. We have a creative way of kind of putting a little number in the corner, so as you fast forward or just actually visually forward through the tape, you'll be able to know always what segment you're in, so you'll be able to find it easily. I think you'll find that really a handy way to use that tape. We'll send you that, or if you'd rather, the Cleveland Garden Handbook, which was written just a couple years ago that dealt exclusively with gardening here in our region. You're going to love having that. But so many people, Maureen, are taking advantage of the $180 level.
It's a great deal.
Oh, it really is. It's really special. And for that $180 gift, what we're going to do is send you the complete package, the loose leaf binder of all the tips and questions and answers from Cleveland Botanical Garden, the book, the Cleveland Garden Handbook, and also the home video that you'll be able to have in your garden library for a long time to come.
The video is a wonderful thing to have because this is 4 hours of information, 4 hours that you probably can't, first of all, you may not be able to spend all 4 hours sitting here watching it, so you'll want to have that videotape so that you can watch it whenever you want and go to the segments that are important to you as you work on your garden during the season. The season has so many different parts to it, the planting, the maintaining, the pruning and the cleaning out in the fall. So many aspects to gardening, and the thing that's so neat about gardening is, we live all really stressful lives these days, it seems like. Everybody is so busy, but gardening is something that if you take the time and you're interested, you can go out and do, and it really helps to relieve all that stress, to kind of dig in the dirt.
Yes.
and if
dig in the soil, please.
Oh yes, absolutely. And what's, and if you're really stressed, pruning is a good thing.
Yes, just get that huge plant you had is now this big, but you feel much better.
But you feel so much better.
You know that proverb that was on, I don't know if you saw in the last bumper segment, it said, one who plants a garden plants happiness. And it's really true. There's just a whole different feel when you forget everything else and get out in the garden and just kind of enjoy what you've created. I was looking through the book here. Remember, it comes to you at the $60 level, and I would suggest forgetting about the $60 level, jumping right to the $180 package. But one of the questions here, Maureen...
That's what most people are doing.
They really are doing it, and why not? It gives you a great collection of things, and what it most does is helps WVIZ PBS produce more programs just like this one. But one of the questions I found in the book, it's here on page 4, right in the front of the book. It says, I'm tired of hauling water.
Oh.
For the last 2 months, I've done nothing but water my bedding plants, and they aren't growing. I can just barely keep them alive. What should I do? And what the Cleveland Botanical Garden has done, this was actually something that came back in 1991. It was asked in the Ask Robin column. 20 different plants they suggested here, and I don't know all the names of them, but pinks and cosmos and spider flower and moss rose and Dalberg daisy and treasure flowers and straw flowers and just all sorts of things are the kinds of flowers that don't need a great deal of water. And there's a whole listing. That's just one little tip that's on one little page in this book that you're going to love having at the $60 level or at the $180 level in that big package. One of the fun parts about this great program today, the Gardener's Guide to Northeastern Ohio, was the fun that our crew had out at the Home and Garden Show just a while ago when we just asked people that were coming through various questions, asked them what their questions were, and then found those that were answers in the book. Here's one right now for you.
Hi, I'm Deirdre from Salem, Ohio. Recently I've read that plants have different sexes. Can you explain this to me?
Well, we'll try our best. It's kind of the birds.
Do we want to talk about this?
Kent and Maureen talking about the birds and the bees here.
Yes.
But you know, the birds and the bees, you know where that came from? It came from plants.
Came from plants,
It's
exactly
because that's
right.
how plants are pollinated, by flying about and leaving pollen here or there. But here's the answer, and I'm just going to read a part of it because it's a big answer in the book. And it says, indeed, the sex of a plant is determined by the flower it produces, and most plants have both the male and female parts in the same flower. But some plants have flowers that contain only male or female organs, and still others have single-sex flowers, but produce flowers of both sexes, meaning that any one flower is one sex, but let's just say there were 10 flowering plants, 10 flowers on the one plant, they might be evenly spread over male and female.
You know what does that? Corn does that.
You're absolutely right.
Corn is a single-sex plant, but it produces flowers that are of both sexes.
You're right, and we have in our front yard some gorgeous holly bushes. And you have to be very careful when you stick your hand into one of those, by the way. They really hurt.
Yeah.
But because they're either all female or all male, and I don't remember which, we don't get all the beautiful red berries and all in ours.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of sad because they're beautiful, just beautiful, thriving bushes. Go to your telephone right now and make the phones ring, and consider charging your pledge on your MasterCard, Visa, Discover card, or check debit card. Give us a call right now. We're waiting to hear from you.
Entertain your brain and support WVIZ PBS. When you call and pledge your support at the $60 level and above using your Visa, Discover,